pre-March Madness lottery mock between us. So there's 14 picks, so this makes the math a little weird. Trying to figure out how we're going to do this. 14 picks, guys, 3 of us. So each person on average would have 4.666 picks, which doesn't line up.
Mental math.
I think that would mean that one of us would have 4 picks, and 2 of us would have 5 picks with it, pretty much, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how should we do this?
I'll take 4.
You'll take 4. Okay. Do you want
4.
You want one? How do you do this? Oh no, we'll figure it out. How about this? We'll start with the orders, and then we'll go from there. You want the first pick, Charlie?
I'll take the first pick. I mean, it's so easy. So I'll take the first pick. Thank you, James.
Absolutely. Zach, you can take 2, and I'll take 3. Is that fair?
Sounds good. Yep. And we just rotate there.
I'll do a screen share because we're gonna do a Tankathon.
Sweet.
Okay. How do I?
But yeah, we got this week today actually we got some conference tournaments starting up. I think the ACC starts today, and then tomorrow you have like Big 10 and all the Big 12 stuff. So we're coming upon March Madness, and I'm sure next show. I know James doesn't know as much about college basketball. We'll try to give some picks there. Hopefully, I can give some insightful thoughts for March Madness. But yeah, that's coming right around the corner. Big stocks.
So hype, bro. March, April, June, basketball, fantastic. The best time of the year for basketball.
Okay, my computer's being a jerk, so it's not letting me share screen. So Charlie, you'll have to do it. All right, run the order again. You cool with that?
So we're gonna randomize it.
Yeah.
All right, can you guys see it?
There you go. So Rockets number 1.
No, I'm simming it one more time.
Rockets number 1.
They still stick number 1.
See, what I say happens. So both got the number 1 pick as I said so, and then I said Rockets number 1, and they got it. So I'll tell this, man. Every NBA team should pay me a lot of money and see which team I'll predict. It'll be a bidding war. Who wants Victor that bad? All right. Charlie, you have a very difficult choice at number 1.
So I'm Houston, right? I got Jalen Green, Tari Eason, Kevin Porter Jr. I think is a part of that core for right now. I'm not sure if he's gonna stay. I also have Ty Washington, who's a guard. I have Josh Christopher, who's another guard off their bench. I'm gonna go with Victor Wembanyama.
Whoa! That is
I'm blowing some minds here.
Oh my god.
He's a big man, and Houston literally doesn't have one besides Alper
Şengün, who we don't really. I think you and I are lower on Alper than the average fan.
I'm not a Şengün guy. I think Victor Wembanyama and Şengün could actually fit very nicely next to one another. So I think that's nice. I really hope that Houston doesn't mess up Victor Wembanyama by going and getting James Harden this offseason.
Would that not be great for Victor?
No, no.
I mean, getting that playmaking maestro next to Vic. I mean, dang. Honestly, that can't be worse than what they have right now.
True. You're not wrong, but
Kevin Porter dribble. Make that like a repeat sound, and I'll make it a 4-hour video. That's our entire podcast.
Like the Boban commercial.
Yeah. He's bouncing it. Yeah, we can just do that and just talk about Kevin Porter Jr. topic and just put that on repeat for 4 hours.
Good.
I think Victor Wembanyama is the right pick at number 1 for Houston. The only other really solid pick would be like a 15-year veteran that they could bring in. But Houston just seems super averse to veterans right now. So we'll go Victor Wembanyama.
All right. And then at number 2, this if the Wizards can land number 2, this would be insane for them. I think this core needs it. I'm taking Scoot Henderson. It's obviously listed there as well. Scoot Henderson would be phenomenal with them. And they could maybe try to keep that core together. I would like to see Scoot next to a guard that can take pressure off him as well, and a Bradley Beal who can create for himself, and then a big man like Porzingis that can space the floor. Scoot has been really, really nice with the G League this year. He's shown improvements with his shot making ability, especially from deep. He can put pressure on the rim. He's a lengthy defender. I think he's like 6'2", and his
6'10"
wingspan's
wingspan.
he's got a big wingspan. I think he's got upside defensively, and I think he can really play make for what others at a high level for a prospect. So I think coming to this Wizards team, who they're a playing contender right now, and I think he could really elevate them as a whole. And I really think they could keep their core together if they landed somebody like him. So I'm going Scoot Henderson number 2.
His physical
Question.
comp is literally a bigger Donovan Mitchell. That's his physical comp.
Mm-hmm.
Question. Does Scoot Henderson make Washington like a playoff team? Because right now they're sitting in like 9-10, I believe. Does Scoot Henderson bring them into like the 6-5 range?
I don't know. I would have to look at projections for next year and stuff, but I don't know. I think you could go two ways if you landed Henderson. One, you could, trade off pieces to build around him solely and then, try to match Scoot Henderson's timeline. Or what they'd probably do is they try to build, Scoot Henderson into this core. And I think they'd be probably, a contending top 8 team with Henderson. So, yeah, I think this team definitely needs a better lead guard next to Beal and Porzingis. And I think he fits that.
I mean, the East is really good, and it's a lot to ask of a rookie point guard to make you from decent to good.
Mm-hmm.
That's just really hard. So I think that'd be a lot to ask for Scoot, as good of a prospect he is. I think it's going to take him time because it almost always is like that for point guards. I mean, is he a more polished prospect coming in, theoretically, than Cade Cunningham?
Well, I don't know, maybe 2. He's got 2 technically pro years of basketball because, you got to count G League as pro. I don't know. Maybe.
Like, Cade Cunningham needed time, dude.
Cade was built for the NBA, though. Cade is a 6'6" big body. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scoot Henderson is a 6'2", 195, right? So he's physically strong, but it's not like he's physically – I don't think he's all that physically imposing, where Cade is like we see like guards struggle with getting accustomed to the physicality of the NBA. Cade didn't really struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
He is a big dude,
I don't know who
though.
that is.
That's
he is
Scoot.
a big dude. He is a big dude.
He is a built dude.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think Scoot's going to have issues with turnovers right away. I think he's going to have issues with turnovers and controlling the game, but I think he could be good in those departments eventually.
Sure.
All right, we said this would be a 15-minute segment. It's already been 10. We're like 2 minutes in, 2 picks in. All right, that was a lie. Third pick, I'll accelerate this a little bit because those are the 2 guys everybody's obsessed with. OKC Thunder, Brandon Miller is the third pick here. Don't really think it makes sense to add Amin Thompson to this team with Giddey and Williams and Shea. Already a lot of mouths to feed. This team needs floor spacing. They don't have a lot of that. So getting the best shooter in the draft, that was the case for Jabari Smith last year. And I think it'd be the same case for Brandon Miller this year. You could plug him right at the 3 or maybe a small ball 4. And let's go. You got your core. Now trade everything else and get veterans around these kids because you don't need more young players. It's impossible to contend with 15 young players on the roster. It's impossible.
Agreed.
So, Memphis, closest thing to that. Their entire roster is in shambles right now. So, yes. OKC, you got your guy. You got lucky again. Figure it out. Fourth pick. Charlie, you're next.
I think Indiana could go 2 ways with this. They could grab Jarace Walker, who would fit nicely next to Miles Turner, or they could grab Amen Thompson. I think it really depends on what they view Benedict Mathurin as going forward. Right now, Mathurin has been a bench piece. He doesn't start. They like keeping Buddy Hield there for the shooting. And I think if they continue with their Benedict, you're coming off the bench and you're going to give us 17 on pretty solid shooting, and we want you to just score every time you get the ball, I think they go Jarace Walker in that case. But if they decide, let's go a little younger, move on from Buddy Hield, and so forth, they bring, oh my God, Benedict Mathurin. Thank you. They bring Benedict Mathurin into the starting lineup next to Halliburton. Then I think bringing in a guy like Amen Thompson and kind of just slowing the rebuild down a little bit and going with Halliburton, Mathurin, and Amen Thompson as your like 1, 2, 3 guards. And that's like 3, 6'5" or taller, explosively athletic guards that can all kind of beat you off the dribble, shoot it a little bit, and pass, obviously. I like that. So I think it really depends on where Indiana wants to go with this. Me personally, I'm gonna pick Amen Thompson.
Okay. So let me write this down because I haven't written anything down. So okay, Victor went 1.
Yeah, as always.
Scoot, Miller, Thompson. All right. Number
Then
5.
we got the Pistons at 5. I think you could go 3 ways here, and I'm still trying to decide here, but I'm either gonna go with Jarace Walker, Keontae George, or Cam Whitmore. I think all have legit arguments. I think I might cross out Keontae George though, because I think they could use more of a different archetype of player than him. I think I'm kind of settling in on Jarace Walker to the Pistons. I think he would be, the start of a really good defensive foundation there. I don't think he really has the upside to be, one of the top scorers on a team, but I think he can give you, 15 to 16 a game in a few years. He can space the floor a little bit. We'll see if that translates, for the NBA level. He can handle the ball as a 6'8", 240-pound guy. I think if he starts to impose his will more physically, that will help him a lot. I think that's something he hasn't done as much as at Houston as I've wanted, but he's legitimately one of the better players on the best team in college basketball this season. He's going to be a phenomenal, switchable defender at the NBA level. I think he's kind of like a Jeremy Sohan, but maybe a little more kick to the offense. And I think he's worth a top 5 pick to the right team.
I like that. I'm trying to think. That would be interesting toward its experiment because they've tried really hard to put like Isaiah Stewart or James Wiseman at the 4.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be another big in the mix.
Yeah, I
wouldn't think I would stay with that pick. But best player available if you think he's the best available.
Duran
Isaiah
Stewart and Walker is a really nice young front court.
For sure. And now San Antonio's at a weird spot because this is a team that's starting to get really loaded at wings. Like, it's always been like that with them. But, like with their young core by itself, you got Malachi Branham. You had that dude from Baylor last year. You have Devin Vassell, right? You have Keldon Johnson. So this team is really missing a point guard and a big man, but there's not really anybody available I would take to be a point guard, a big man at this spot. Nick Smith Jr. would have been a great idea if he was healthier and played better. I mean, he's scoring more lately, but I don't think he's a point guard. 6th pick, I think I'm going to go with Sir Thompson here. I think they got the mock right because they need upside. They need that really high upside player. Sir qualifies. And quietly, nobody talks about this. Yeah, Amin is the more gifted overall playmaker, or Sir averages more assists than Amin. So he's got playmaking chops, and he's got scoring chops, and he's a freakishly athletic guy. You can put him at a lot of spots in San Antonio, and he's not going to accelerate this team, make it better right away. The level he's playing at overtime, it's just going to be a transition period for him. But I think he's the highest upside prospect available, and San Antonio still needs to keep striking for upside at this stage of its rebuild. So unfortunate this team fell to 6 with Victor Wembanyama aspirations, but that's the reality. I think Thompson's the one guy who has like real star potential at this spot. So I'll go, sir.
We're looking at 7 with Charlotte, and the only foundational pieces they have are Mark Williams at center and LaMelo Ball as their point guard. So I would probably be interested in getting some shooting around those two. I think I'm gonna go Grady Dick here, which I think is a reach. But Grady Dick is probably the best shooter besides Brandon Miller in this draft. He's 6'7". He's a pretty solid wing that moves on defense. And pairing him in the backcourt with LaMelo Ball would be a very interesting, large, physically imposing backcourt with both of them being 6'7". To be perfectly blunt, I think Charlotte could go anyone and have a positive draft because of how youthfully lacking they are on their
For such a
roster.
bad team, that's so weird.
What?
For such a bad team, it's so odd. Like
I
they're
know.
playing like Gary Rozier, Kelly Oubre, Gordon Hayward, and they somehow it's bizarre. Like they have a lot of money invested in the veterans, and they're bad. It's a bad spot.
The only young player on their roster besides the two I haven't mentioned is PJ Washington, and I'm not even sure he's going to be on the roster after this season. Yeah. So I'll go Grady Dick. I'll go Grady Dick.
All right, then we got the Magic here with back-to-back picks, it looks like. And with the first one, I'm going to go best player available. I think this guy could go top 5 to the right team if, you need shot creating and stuff. But I'm going to go Keontae George, who is my number 5 prospect right now. I think he's just such a big-time shot maker and creator. He's got an extremely good, deep bag of moves. I'm not the biggest fan of his shot selection at times. I think he takes a lot of really weird, deep shots that you don't really see other guys do. But he's got phenomenal balance. He's really elusive. I think he's got a lot of upside as an off-ball shooter as well that can work off of like Bonchera, who when he's pushing the paint, if he can work off ball and get open shots a lot. I think he's going to be a good finisher at the rim. He's strong and stocky. I think he's shown really nice passing flashes. He's got legitimate second creator upside, and I think he could be a solid defender in the NBA. He's not the best athlete, but he can still, he's an okay athlete. But I think he'd be a really good fit next to Paulo Banchero, somebody that can space the floor really well and create for himself as well. And the Magic have a few guards that might not get as much time playing time as this, but I think this team needs to draft best player available, and somebody like George falling to 8. I think you got to take advantage of that. So we got, who's up next?
James.
Hey, my apologies, y'all. I think the internet's breaking up a little bit. I don't know why it's been breaking up.
There we go.
But it's better now.
All right, you're back.
Yeah,
You're back.
Yeah, there's something weird with my internet. Like it says 3 bars on my computer, and then it says 1 bar on this. Like I don't know what. There's some outage. So I think you're talking about Keontae George to Orlando.
Yep.
I heard half of it. I apologize to everybody in the recording who is going to probably hear that and be like, what the heck is going on? So it is what it is. So Keontae George went number 8. He likes his shot creation. And number 9, Orlando. Here's the thing with Orlando. They're really filled in wings right now. I love a lot of their guys. Obviously, Franz and Paulo are kind of the pillars of this franchise. Isaac got hurt again, but you hope someday that somehow it gets resolved. I really love Caleb Houston. I think he is going to be a longtime pro when he gets more opportunity. So I consider him a legit piece on this team. So it's definitely a little bit hard, to make a true pick here. Like, I'm not a huge believer in Fultz. I'm not a huge believer in Jalen Suggs. I'm a moderate believer in Cole Anthony. So I'm not one to say, well, you can't take point guard here. How could you? They got all these franchise guards. They don't have one guard who's better than the 25th starting point guard in the NBA. So I'll just say that. And with this 9th pick, I'm looking at it, thinking in the context of Franz and Paulo, who would make a lot of sense in the vision. You got Keontae at the 2, maybe. You got Paulo and Franz, right? I'm going to go Anthony Black here from Arkansas. He's a point guard on this team. And he kind of fits in that identity of big, long, defensive-minded, just a connective playmaker. He has similar issues as Suggs where he can't shoot great, but I believe in his shot more than Suggs. It looks like it has more room to grow, just from my eye test. I'm not like a shooting coach or anything. So I think his shot has more upside than Suggs because I like his touch a little more. And I can put him at the 1, and he's a legit 6'6" guard, 6'7" guard. And all of a sudden, you're talking about a team that's just big and versatile. I just think that fits with Orlando's identity very well with this team. So I'm going to go Anthony Black 9.
Love that pick. Utah have the 10th pick, and I saw Nick Smith fall from 7. Nick Smith, I don't have a point guard in Utah. I got Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen. Colin Sexton might be a part of that future, but I don't really think so. Nick Smith is the obvious pick here. You got Ochai Agbaji as the only other young wing there. I'd go Nick Smith and just throw him in the fire and see what kind of comes out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Utah's at the beginning of their rebuild. They got so many more picks after this.
All right, and then we got the Pelicans. This was a guy I was seriously contemplating at number 5 for the Pistons, but I went with Jarris Walker instead. And I'm kind of surprised he didn't go in between these picks.
I know you're talking about.
But Cam Whitmore, he has one of the higher ceilings in this class overall. He's a physical beast. I mean, he's like 6'7", and he's got this insane frame. I kind of compared to like Anthony Edwards sometimes, but he's a really nice athlete. He's an insane shot creator. I think he's got defensive upside. I get it. The Pelicans are probably going to be a team that, it's going to be harder for them to work in a prospect like him. But when you have that upside on the table at, pick 11 and that type of talent, you have to take it. And I think he could be a legitimate, player for them in the future. And he's got like really nice all-star upside. I've seen people where they rank the players with the most upside in this class, and he is among the top 3, top 4. He's got a phenomenal ceiling for them. So I would take Cam Whitmore at 11.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that. I think there's 6 guys in this draft who have really high ceilings. Yeah. I would probably put Cam more in the 5 to 6 range just because I trust the playmaking by far the least among those guys. But here's the thing. I like the player. I like the value. I don't like the team because the Pelicans team all of a sudden has a log jam of forwards when you're talking about Brandon Ingram, Trey Murphy. Gosh, why am I who's the other guy? Why is my mind completely zoning out? The defender. Herb Jones, Zion Williamson. It's just there's a lot. And I didn't even mention a Dyson Daniels who's 6'8". They got a lot of young, just combo wings who can play 2 to 4, right? It's not the greatest spot. I don't think this is a premier Anthony Black development spot. I think Utah would have been a great spot for him. I would have taken him 10 personally. Cam Whitmore. I would have taken him 10 personally in Utah, but Nick Smith's decent too. Yeah, I mean, Casey Wallace, I like more than the average person. I think he makes a lot of sense there on that team. So, maybe the Pelicans trade back with this pick. Yeah, me too. Lakers 12. There's Lakers finally have a lottery pick. They actually, I think, that pick swap is looking like it doesn't really matter because unless somebody gets the number 1 pick, because Pelicans, Lakers are 11 and 12 right now. So, oh no, right? So, I want another movement shooter next to LeBron James. I like Sensabaugh, but I don't think he's as quick twitched around LeBron, running off his screens and stuff like that. I'm going to take Jet Howard from Michigan. Not the greatest defender yet. Not the greatest defender, not the most physical on the glass. There's some things he has to work on. But he's a 6'8", super fluid movement shooter who can shot off. This service is really messing me up, and I got 3 bars. You guys hear me fine, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, sorry. It's just the connection's odd. To continue my thought, 6'8", movement shooter. I think LeBron could really thrive next to that. And I just think he's a great fit, and you can argue he's a top 10 pick. So I think they pray Grady Dick falls to them, but I think Jet Howard's the next best thing. So
For sure.
Picking for Portland. Honestly, I really, really struggle to see like someone that really sticks out to me. Obviously, Dariq Whitehead is really young. He's a 6'6" small forward, plays at Duke. His stats are a little lower than what you would expect from him, but I think he
he's been
he
hurt.
can play. He can play. He's been hurt, but I know he can play. I've seen it. It's like the small things that he does on the court really pop out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But Portland doesn't need an 18-and-a-half-year-old. You know, Portland needs a guy that they're going to compete with because they want to build around Dame. I honestly think they should trade down. I'm going to sound kind of crazy here. I think they draft Chris Murray with a later pick. I think Chris Murray fits in as a rangy, switchable four who can shoot the ball very well. He's very cloned of his brother. He's older. He's experienced. He knows how to play basketball. He can rebound. He can shoot. He plays defense. I think that's what Portland needs. And in the case that you do trade Dame and Jeremy Grant, he can still fit in the Anthony Simons and Shaedon Sharpe timeline if you really want to do that, which Portland does.
Yeah. He's very reliable. Plays kind of like his brother, which is pretty funny. It'll be really hard to tell them apart if the Kings somehow land him. So, yeah. I think can't go wrong at this point in the draft. Zach, you got 14.
All right, to close this one out, this is a tough pick for the Raptors because, one, I don't really know what the direction of this team is. And I'm trying to look at guys that could really create for them in the half court because they need a lot of half court creation still. And if I was just taking like best player available, it'd probably be Cason Wallace, but I don't know how much of that he's going to provide for you, even though I think he fits, that the defensive scheme that the team likes to run. But I think I'm going to probably go with Bryce Sensabaugh here from Ohio State. I think he would provide, something that Wallace doesn't as much, and that's just, since Wallace can shoot, but I think Sensabaugh's in our level of that. I think he could create for them a lot in the half court. He's a decently sized guard, and I think that team just needs that type of archetyped, guys that can score in the half court, because I think they have everything else covered. And assuming they stick with the same core, I think Sensabaugh makes sense.
Sensabaugh makes
There's
sense.
the lottery, y'all. So in our mock draft, Victor went 1, Scooch went 2, Brandon Miller went 3, Amon Thompson 4, Jarris Walker 5, Asur Thompson 6, Grady Dick 7, Keontae George 8, Anthony Black 9, Nick Smith Jr. 10, Cam Whitmore 11, Jet Howard 12, Chris Murray 13, and Bryce Sensabaugh 14. So there's our pre-lottery or pre-March Madness mock draft. It'll be very fascinating to see how much narratives and how much, views on draft prospects changes over these next 4 weeks. But we're excited for it. So, if you guys...
Oh, I just glitched for you. What did you say?
Did you hear anything I said?
No, it glitched for 5 seconds.
What the heck is going on with this internet? It's not even my internet this time, but it was. But what I was saying was, anything you guys want to say about it? It'll be very interesting to see how the lottery changes going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it'll change
just
a
a
lot.
disclaimer, I'm not the most familiar with some of the picks in this draft. So if anyone else disagrees with the picks that I made, I'm perfectly happy to hear you guys out.
You exposed yourself.
Yeah.
You did fine. You did fine. Now you just look stupid.
Yeah.
I feel like I look stupid for the Chris Murray pick, but whatever.
I don't think that's crazy. It's 13th pick.
I got a twin bias, bro. I love that kid. I think he's gonna be fantastic.
The Morris Twins 2.0.
Hey, I think they're gonna be way better than the Morris twins. Keegan looks great in the NBA, bro.
Yeah,
Keegan
I
looks
think Keegan's a high level role player. He's really good.
I think Keegan has that next level, bro. We're not supposed to be talking about this, but I think Keegan in Sacramento has like this. You remember what Harrison Barnes was doing in Dallas?
Yeah, I think
I
Harrison
think
Barnes is a good Keegan Murray comp actually.
I think Keegan can do that, but on a contender.
So
Those
average
like
22 on a
20
contender.
points. I
Wow.
think he could put up 20 on a contender.
I don't quite agree, but if you're right, I'll give you credit for it.